Oh, okay. Going live early. See a few folks in here. I was trying to engage in the chat. And, oh, there's Iris. New member. Thank you, Iris. Iris is one of my mods. Now you're a member. So I'm going to go over to YouTube and see if I can I'm making you a mod. A managing mod. Okay, so hello everybody, welcome. I decided to come in early. Okay, so, oh my goodness, we already have 108 people. So I came on early, but people are already here. It's kind of unfair to the people who are coming on time though, huh? It's 4:58. But yeah, welcome everybody. I thought it was time for another circus chat. So since it's not 5 yet, I'm gonna see if there's some housekeeping I can do. So I created. Oh, it's over there. my screen is backwards. I created a buy me a coffee QR code. So that's what that is up there. It's weird pointing in the wrong direction. Yeah, so I made that QR code for buy me a coffee because I found out that when people send me like donations through this platform, that I only get like half of it, which is kind of crazy. So if you like, someone sent me a $50 donation and I got like $26 or something like that. Welcome everybody. Welcome. I started a little early. I haven't covered anything. I'm just saying hello. Yeah, let me know where you're from. We got Texas, Delaware, New Jersey, Raleigh, North Carolina. Rainbow Dragon Mystic says, I love your circus chats. Arizona. It is crazy, Iris. And Iris is helping me out, telling people to like the live. We got Delaware. Yeah, I came on early. One more minute, and then we'll get serious. Southeast Michigan, Texas, Connecticut. I used to have cousins in Connecticut, and I spent a lot of time there. Oh, how do I take this off? Oh, okay. Southeast Michigan. No, my people are from Northeast Michigan, I believe. Yeah. So hello, Michigan. I had some relatives in Michigan. I had relatives in Connecticut. I got relatives in a lot of places. Texas, and I've also lived a lot of places. So welcome everybody to my circus chat. Thanks for coming. Thanks for liking and sharing and all the things that you do. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate that you watch my videos and comment on them. I love the comments. Oh my God, I had a video this week that blew up. Which one was it? I should be keeping track. I think it was one of my 3-Eye Atlas videos. And I got like 800 comments. It was crazy. It took me hours to read them. But I love that. I love all your comments. Be nice if we could all be in a room together, right? One day we'll have a big party and we'll celebrate. Northwestern Illinois. I'm from Chicago. What does that count as? I know it's north. Yeah, there is a Rhonda said is going so fast. Hello from Long Beach. Uh-oh, hit the wrong one. Hello, Long Beach. I went to school in Massachusetts. I went to school in Amherst at Hampshire College. Oh, Iris isn't able to highlight comments. Yeah, I wonder why. I gave you the big one, managing moderator. But I did it on YouTube. And so how come on YouTube we don't see it? Video unavailable. Huh. Let me see. So I'm just going on YouTube because I'm on Yardstream, but I'm going on YouTube to make sure that it's the same. Because how come it's not, the video doesn't seem to be going on YouTube, but I don't know. Okay, I'm just telling the people on YouTube. So apparently there's two. For some reason, YouTube or Yardstream created two different lives, and then I tried to delete one, and now I guess people are in the other one, but it's not live. And okay, but you all, so you all are on YouTube. So I have 336 people here on YouTube, but there's another like 60 people stuck in some defunct live also on YouTube. Like they're living in an alternate timeline and I'm not on it. So I hope they come over here because, okay, I notified them. And I don't know if I can shut this one down because this one has, so they're in the chat, but they can't, they're waiting. Okay. All right. Well, I'm just going to focus on the 360 people that are over here. Arkansas, Central California. So today we're talking about the circus. I've been doing a lot of videos on 3i Atlas. Okay. I've been doing a lot of videos on 3i Atlas. I did a live stream on 3i Atlas, and we can also talk about that today. But I wanted to talk about the circus because, just so much good news, right? So, of course, the biggest news right now is all the emails. And so 20,000 emails were released, and a lot of people are talking about them. So it's on social media, it's in the news. People are talking about specific emails. And now some people might be saying, well, this isn't really news because actually the 20,000 emails that were released are emails that are already out there somewhere. So I heard today that someone said these were already out there somewhere. And of course the emails is not the same as the files. So someone sent me a super chat. How come I can't see it? It's not showing up. Well, thank you for the super chat. I don't know why it's not showing up. Hold on. It'll show up. Here it is. Woohoo! Celebration time. It's been quite the year. Yeah. So we got the files of Epi and the emails of Epi are two different things, right? So let's just be clear about that. So we're still waiting for the files of Epi to be released. And so today they got all the signatures for what they call the discharge petition. And I got to remember, this is all for entertainment purposes only and allegedly. So the news is that, they're dripping out these emails, which have a lot of kind of damning, evidence in there, implications about the head clown and certain other key players. Today, there was one that came out about Rasputin and, Epi, Rasputin, and head clown and how they're all connected. And, I was loving that because, as those of you who've been following me for the last year know, I have been talking from the very beginning about the global networks that help to bring the circus to town. And so I was talking about it, I think before, well, back then I was on TikTok, and at that time, nobody was talking about it that I knew of. And of course, now over time, people are all talking about these networks. But what I got, back in November a year ago was that, the circus had been allowed to finagle the contest and to get into position because it was connected to these global networks, including Rasputin and including, Noodle, Land of Milk and Honey guy. And it was because of that, and also the wealthy merchants. So they all funded it. And all of these people are connected. They're all not just connected in terms of bringing the circus to town, but they're all connected in terms of these networks of bad traffic, that pertains mostly to women and children, and also to the G side in the Land of Milk and Honey, and there's also a lot of Rasputin spy work, right? It's all connected. And so one of the emails that came out today was actually about, it was Epi talking about having talked to somebody related to Rasputin, specifically about the head clown. Okay, Ashley Cheng, we're now on the same timeline. Yeah, so I don't know if we got 519. I'm hoping all the people from the Ghost Live are over here now. Both YouTube presentations are streaming. Okay, so apparently I'm bilocating today. I'm in two places at once. And so I'm going to go over to YouTube every once in a while and see if and see if I need to I'm just going to check on this other one. Mercury in retrograde. Okay. So people are saying Mercury in retrograde is why we're having this situation. I am somebody who likes to not really think about Mercury. Okay, I'm trying to pull this other person up here. I want to thank, I just got a £5 donation from Ragdow's Pickles, Percy, Polly, Peter. There you are. Thank you. Thank you for the donation. So what I was saying was, I'm excited about stuff coming out. So there's these, 20,000 emails that have been released, and they're all about, Epi and, Gillette MaxPad and the head clown, right? So I'm still trying to be careful with my language because, but maybe I can since I have my sign. I don't know. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I guess you can, let me know. So there's all these networks, right? And there's all of these people involved in this corruption and these crimes, these, major crimes around the world, and they're all connected to the circus. And so the circus, it didn't just come to town because Starboy finagled with some satellites and flipped some tickets, right? It's not that simple, because I know a lot of people were wondering, in November of last year, and many have been wondering ever since, why isn't anyone talking about the fact that that there were shenanigans, right? Why aren't we talking about it? Of course, some of us are. We have ETA, we have SMART, who are gathering all the data and filing lawsuits, but we don't have the press talking about it. We don't have our political leaders talking about it, right? And it's like everyone's afraid to talk about it. And I asked about that way back then. And yes, you're in the right live now, Candy. There's another live that's not really live. I don't know why. So sorry, I was distracted by the comment. But so here's the thing. it wasn't just that these people cheated, right, to get into position. It wasn't that's bad enough, right? But it was much bigger than that. And that's what my guide said when I asked them, why isn't anyone doing anything about this? Why isn't anyone speaking about this? I was told a number of things, and I was told mainly that this is like a syndicate, like mobsters, and they're very, very dangerous. And what they do is there's two things that mobsters do. They either pay you off, or they threaten you or your family if you don't do what they want. And that's what they told me, like months ago, a year ago, that this is what they were doing to a lot of people. They also told me that a lot of people, like on the Red Hat side, are implicated in the files of Epi. And so they're counting on him to keep that quiet. So that was kind of the deal they made. But another factor that they told me, so for those who are just tuning in, I'm kind of recapping some stuff that I first started talking about a year ago, because it's relevant to what's going on today with all of these emails. So thank you to Tam Sea Salts. And I'll get to your question in just a second. So the third reason that people weren't talking about the flipping of the tickets was because of this fear of T cells, right, of terrier dog cells throughout the US that could be activated at a moment's notice by the circus, and were willing to engage in lots of, violent behavior. And that this risk of a sea war was also what was keeping people from talking about this. And so, I'm really excited about the emails coming out, and also the discharge petition about the files coming out, because this means that, the truth will come out. And because it's all connected, you let a little bit of the truth out, it's going to let all the truth out. Birdie says they can't keep up with it. Sorry. I'm still using my code words, but maybe I'll use fewer code words. I haven't been facing the same type of censorship on YouTube that I was on TikTok, but now I'm just kind of scared, right? Because I encountered so much. But everything I'm saying is for entertainment purposes only, allegedly. So I'll try to use fewer code words, maybe. So let me answer this question from Tam Sea Salts. Will he try to pardon the files? I guess you mean the PDF files, yeah. So it's not even going to come to that. There's too many of them. There's too many people, and he's one of them. So no, Tam Sea Salt, I don't think that's a factor. Yes, that is his pattern, right? He just tries to pardon anyone who commits any crimes, especially if they're committing crimes that benefit him, right? Then his go-to response is to pardon them. So welcome, everybody. I'm supposed to say welcome. I just got some notes from my dad. So, my whole family's getting involved now. So my dad likes to give me all this advice about what I should be doing on my posts and on my lives. And, the child in me is like, don't tell me what to do, right? But luckily, the adult in me is like, that's pretty good advice. So I try to take it. And so he said, oh, you got to introduce yourself. You got to do that more, and you got to remind people, and thank people, and this and that. So I'm Dr. Jennifer Lisa Vest. If you don't know me already, I'm a psychic medium, a medical intuitive, and I'm also a scholar. So I have a PhD. I used to be a philosophy professor. I also have a background in physics, and I'm an author. I've written a number of books, and so I combine all of this. I combine, my intellectual work with my spiritual work and my psychic work. And starting a year ago in November, my guides told me to start doing all of these posts, all these videos about the spiritual significance of our political situation. And in particular, they wanted me to help people navigate these challenging times, to help people stay hopeful, to help keep the vibration up, to help raise the vibration. And so that's what I've been doing. for a year now. I post, not every day, but almost every day, sometimes twice a day, several times a week. And yeah, and that's just what I try to do. And so I decided to do a chat today because I want to talk about the news about the circus. And so I did a video earlier today. I don't know if you caught it, where I was kind of outlining all of the bad news. I mean, all of the good news that's bad for the circus. And I was also informed by my sister that I'm not allowed to keep paper on the desk when I do lives, because apparently I have a tendency to ruffle my papers and it's annoying. So I'm going to try not to do that today. Okay, we got another question from Ashley Chang. Was the real hacker behind 2024 arrested today? What? Okay, I didn't hear about this. Does anyone know what they're talking about? Ashley, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. The hacker that I'm aware of is a certain star boy who uses satellites to hack, and that was how they flipped things in 2024. I don't know who, but who are you referencing? Yeah, I don't know. Ashley, but thanks for the question. And maybe something will come up. I did bring all these windows up for my live so that I could refer to stuff that's going on, but I haven't seen that. So yeah, if it's not the Muskie Star Boy, I'm trying to add things to my code names for people who don't know. If it's not Muskie Star Boy, then it's not the right person. Yeah, did he have people working for him? I mean, yeah. So could apparently someone said it's a 21-year-old. Could this 21-year-old have been working for Muskie Star Boy? I don't know. Maybe. Someone else is asking, is it the Jaji boys? Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see the news about that, so I'm not sure. Oh, so here's a question. Is it over now? Right? This is the question we all have. So let's talk about this. Yeah, it's not over yet. But you know what? I feel like I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Now, you may not, some people may say, oh yeah, well, Jennifer Lisa, she's always seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, right? I'm a hope meister. That's my job, is to be hopeful. So I have been hopeful throughout. But there are certain days, right, when I'm more hopeful. We're all a little more hopeful because of certain things that happen. And today is one of those days, because not only did they reopen the government, which allowed them to, they could have swore in Representative Grijaldo a long time ago, right? That was Mikey the Little Johnson being a, I can't even use the words I would want to use for him. Right. He intentionally didn't swear her in because he's trying to prevent the files from coming out. So now that she's sworn in, this is good news, right? We had that great contest on the 4th. So, we've been having a lot of reasons to be more hopeful lately. And so I'm feeling really excited about how things just like it used to be, right? Every day it was breaking bad news. Remember not too long ago, like a week ago, before the 4th, right? It was like breaking bad news every day. And now I feel like it's breaking good news every day. First, we had the big contest on the 4th, and we just won absolutely everything. And then we had, we've had, the shutdown negotiated. And I know some people are unhappy about, they're like, oh, they caved. They shouldn't have done that. I have heard different accounts of it. Some people say they're playing chess. Some people say they caved. But what I keep focusing on is opening it back up, is allowing the files of Epi to come out. And that's like the most important thing right now. Okay, I gotta attend to these questions. People give donations and then they ask questions. I think it's called a super chat, right? So I'm trying to answer those. And also for people who came later, that's my buy a coffee QR code if you want to buy me a coffee, rather than give me a super chat. Okay, so Ragdow's Pickles, Percy, Polly, Peter, and Penelope. Did your name just get longer since the last time you asked a question? What a name. That's a great name. Cash Shital. got to be careful on here. Will be in a lot of. Okay, that's a great name. So I'm sure all you can figure out what that is, right? Will be in a lot of trouble for being complicit along with Sticky Mickey, the reporter who didn't cry wolf. Oh, so I know who you're talking about. So she's, if people can't follow her code, there is a certain reporter, Mickey Wolf, who is in a lot of these emails that have been released the last couple of days. And it looks like from the emails I've seen that he was trying to get Epi to come on the news and implicate the head clown. And I guess he was doing it for the story, but I don't know. He seems super chummy with him. So yeah, is he complicit? But in terms of Kas Shittel, yes, all of these people a lot of people are complicit. And I don't know why they think they're never going to face consequences. But it was the same in the 1930s, right? In Germany, right? There was a lot of people who were in that whole organization. I'm trying to be careful because you can't say certain words. With the mustache man, who they also weren't expecting to face consequences. And a lot of them didn't. I mean, to be fair, a lot of them did run away to Argentina and hide out. Some of them ran away to the US and were hidden out. But a lot of them did face consequences. And so there is, a lot of us intuitives have seen that there's going to be consequences. There's going to be a tribunal. There's going to be, I was told very clearly that, that we should be keeping track right now of all the faces and names of all these people, like the Coldwater car people, right? Icy folks that are running around kidnapping and terrorizing people and committing all kinds of crimes and pretending like it's legal to do that. We need to keep track of all of them, and we need to keep track of like everything, all the documentation, and it's not going anywhere. There's so much evidence, right, that these people were complicit. So eventually all of that is going to be used against them. So let's see. We got another question from Free USA. Thank you so much for the donation. 1999. Orange Torp can veto the Epi bill. Do you think there will be 60% in Comic-Con? Comic-Con. I got to write some of these down. I'm going to have to use them in my upcoming videos. See, anytime someone shares a new code word with me, I'm like, okay, I have to try that one. I love that. So Comic Congress, right? So this is a good question. And this is a question some other people have been raising, after it goes. So it's, I don't know. And I've heard two different things. So someone correct me if I'm wrong. This is a House petition. And once it's signed, it's done, right? So it's out there. But then I think it has to go to the Senate. But does it? Because that's true of a bill. A bill has to go from the House to the Senate and be vetoed. But this is a petition. So can someone in the comments who knows more about this than I do say, is it true that it has to go to the Senate and then go to the head clown's desk? Or is that not true? Because it's not a law. It's not a bill. It's a petition. And yeah, someone just said this. Okay, is this true? This is a rumor on the streets. There's a rumor on the YouTube streets. I just heard it. You heard it here. that he just shut down the House again. So I don't know. Is that true? I mean, right. This is the timeline we're on, right? Everything happens really fast. Breaking good news, breaking bad news, right? These people are in a tizzy. These people, the circus, they are really, really nervous about this. You saw that press release, right? Head clown won't talk to the press. He won't answer questions. Nobody will answer questions about this petition. They are panicking. Okay, so here's an explanation from someone. Divergent moon. Petition is to propose or pass a bill. Okay, thank you for that clarification. I'm trying to keep up with all the news, and I can't always keep up with all of it. Okay, so that means if it's a bill. So back to the question, the earlier question. I am trying to answer your question. Free USA. I'm trying to bring Free USA back. Free USA. So here's the question from Free USA: if he can veto the bill, if you veto, if in our democracy, which at this point is in quotes, the way bills go is they go from the House, they go to the Senate, and then the president can veto them. And if the president vetoes them, they have to go back to Congress and be voted in by like 60%. And although I've also heard that we need 60% in the Senate. No, that's correct, right? 60% in the Senate. I can't remember if it's 60% in the Senate or 60% in the whole Congress, in both houses. So if we have any civics buffs in here, educate us, because I did civics in junior high, which was many, many, many decades ago. It's not even about years anymore. It's decades. So yeah, that's the question. So let's address that, because there's a couple things going on. Right now, it started out with it was just the Democrats, right, that were voting for this, and then we had the three. Well, it didn't start with anybody. We've always had these like three Republicans: MTG, Massey, and one other one I'm forgetting, who were on board with this petition. And it was just them, and then it was all Democrats, right? But then this is what I wanted to talk about today as well, is that this is more good news. So as of today, there are now 9 Republicans who have come out. This is the news I saw on Politico. I got all these names from Politico. So this is from in fact, I also have the story here. I was going to show it. I don't know if I have to prove that I know what I'm talking about, but just so YouTube knows I'm not making stuff up. Whenever I talk about actual news, I want people to know that I'm relying on sources, right? Not just hearsay. So I do have a list. Bacon, Crane, Davidson, Buchel, and Bresnahan, I think. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. And that's in addition to MTG and Massey, and I think there's one more. Anyway, there's a total of 9 now. There's a total of 9 red hats who have now all either signed the petition or publicly spoken in support of it. And not only that, but I just heard an interview today, just a couple of hours ago, and now I'm trying to remember what station it was on, but it was a mainstream station where they were interviewing Republican House members and asking them about this petition. And it was one of the ones I just listed that was being interviewed. And he said, well, it's not just us. It's not just the 9 of us who are siding with the Democrats. It's actually, and this guy said 30 to 50 more. Now, Representative Swalwell, who's a Democrat, he came out like a week or so ago and said that he personally knew of 100 Republicans who would be willing to sign it. And so word on the street, and this is, I'm saying word on the street like it's a rumor, but it's really based on, actual interviews in the press and actual news articles that I've read, right? So is that there are a lot of Republicans who are prepared to vote, yes on this petition, and are prepared to vote yes on, the bill. So apparently it's like the petition and then the House bill, and then the Senate has to sign it, and then it goes to the president, and then if he vetoes, it goes back to, I think, the Senate and requires this majority vote. So the question that I'm still answering, kind of taking my time with, sometimes you got to give a long answer, right? Is that, we don't know, right? We don't know who's on what side, because what's happening, what the evidence is suggesting today and over the last few days is that the rats are jumping out of the ship, right? So the Republicans are deciding to go ahead and vote for the release of the files. And that's a new thing, right? That wasn't the case in the past, but it's happening now. And so, do I think that the head clown is going to try to veto it? I mean, I think that's a reasonable assumption to make. However, I don't even know if it's going to come to that, because it feels like we're coming to like a stand. What's that called? Like a last stand in a battle, where you have someone up against the wall, right? And their hands are up, and we're talking about the head clown. And it's like, what's his move going to be, right? And so it's not really like any of his previous moves, because he's now losing the support of all of the people that were kind of his loyal accomplices. And I think that the reason that they're leaving his side is because they can see the writing on the wall, and they don't want to go down with the ship, right? They don't want to have their careers ruined. And now it's looking like the evidence is, the public sentiment is very clearly in favor of the release. And I saw a poll once, and I can't remember it now, but it was an overwhelming majority of U.S. citizens. If someone else has seen that poll and you want to put it in the chat, let me know. But there's this overwhelming majority of U.S. citizens who want the files released, and regardless of party. It's not just blue hats; it's everyone. It's blue hats, it's red hats, it's independents, it's apathetics. That's a whole group of people I call apathetics, who did not even show up at the big contest, and who spent all this time saying, oh, it doesn't matter, they're all bad, they're all equally bad, right? Those people. I know them personally, some of them, because I spent weeks before the big contest making phone calls to all my third-party friends, because I'm a third-party person. Like, I'm an independent. I don't always vote blue. I was voting for Bernie Sanders back in the day, and he was an independent originally. And so I have friends who are like, oh, well, I'm an independent. And so I was calling them up and saying, look, you gotta pick the Lotus Queen. Like, we're in dire straits right now. And I had a lot of conversations with people who were trying to say, oh, they're equally bad, or because of the G side, that they couldn't support the blue team. And I try to have a lot of conversations with people and say, look, I understand. I don't support the blue team's position on the G side either. However, I think if the red team gets into office, a lot more people are going to lose their lives over there in the watermelon land than if the other team gets on. And so, if you really want to save lives, you got to think about those things. So anyway, I've digressed a bit, going off on the apathetics. And some of them were apathetic. Some of them were single issue voters, which I think can be highly problematic, where you only have one issue and nothing else matters to you. And so I did have friends like that who were like, all they cared about was the G side. And although it's a really important issue and I really care about it, I wasn't willing to sacrifice everybody else who was going to be harmed by the red hats for that one issue. And now we see what's happened. Right now, the G side continued. It got worse. And on top of that, lots of other innocent people are being harmed, right? Because of the Coldwater QB people and the Ray and, all of the crazy racism and sexism and nonsense, right? So, but what was I trying to say? I was trying to say that the majority of Americans, regardless of their political persuasion, want these files released. That's one part of the pressure. That pressure is now influencing some of these Comic-Con. See, I don't know if anyone's going to get that, though. It's so funny. Comic conference. We should spell it out, because Comic-Con is short for comic conference. It's like these big conferences where people who love comics go, and they all talk about their favorite comics, right? So this is like the conference, the lawmaker conference. We're just gonna have to use some plain language here. The lawmaker conference. So the question is, what's going on in the lawmaker conference? I think they are being influenced by their constituents, but more than that, because they haven't really been that influenced by their constituents for the last several months. But I think more than that, they are recognizing that some people might be going to jail. There's no honor among thieves. There's no honor among PDF files. There's no honor among con men. There is honor among some mobsters, apparently, but not this mob. This is not a mob that has like etiquette rules or like, oh, we have honor. This is not that type of mob. So, I don't know exactly how that goes, but kind of appropriate. So yeah, the sharks are circling, right? The sharks are circling, and people are trying to decide, okay, is it in my best interest to keep supporting the circus and to keep, hiding the crimes of the circus? Is it really in my best interest? So that's what the conference, right, of lawmakers is trying to decide, the red hats. And so that we see a lot of them jumping ship. A lot of them are like, well, maybe not. Maybe this won't be good for me. Maybe I'll never get elected again. Maybe even worse than that. Maybe I'll be in front of that tribunal in the future and I won't have any answers. I won't be able to have the answers I need that are going to get me, save me. And so people are trying to quickly. And so this is, so that's why the answer to the question is, we don't know yet. But what I see is, I don't see it coming to that. I don't, and I haven't been shown this scenario specifically by my guides. So let me just talk a little bit right now about how I work. So those of you who are interested in how I work as a psychic. So most of the stuff that I deliver in my videos is based on, like visions I have, or what I call now I forgot what I call it. That's funny. I'll just describe it. So I go into like a deep meditative state. I go into a trance, and then I leave my body, and then I communicate with different guides. And I have a whole bunch of different ones I work with. I work with spirit guides. I work with angels. I sometimes talk to, I also just talk to a lot of things. I can talk to rocks. I can talk to animals. I can talk to Mother Earth. I talk to Three-Eye Atlas. I talk to the sun. So I'm what some people would call a mystic, right? I know how to remove my consciousness and merge with the consciousness of other people, beings, things, and then communicate. And then I take that information, and then I record it, I transcribe it, and then I also ask what I'm allowed to share. And so I edit it too. And then I pull out things, and then I turn them into videos. So that's how most of my information comes. But I'm also just a run-of-the-mill garden style psychic too, right? And so the way the way psychic works is there's different clairs, right? Clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, right? Clairvoyant, you feel, you see, you hear. And one of my gifts is claircognizance. And with claircognizance, when you hear something or someone tells you something, you can just sometimes kind of sense whether it's true or false. And so what I do when I'm watching the news or other people's videos on social media is I'm tuning in and I'm trying to feel, does that feel true or not? And I do that with other psychics too. I watch the videos of other psychics just because I like company. I like to not be alone. And so I love to watch like Susan Lin on YouTube, and Meister Tarot on YouTube, and Rosie on YouTube. And then I watch, Gia on TikTok, and Empress on TikTok. And what I do is I will tune in and try to feel, does this feel true? And I will do that too with news stories, and also with questions like your question. Now I've already forgotten the person who asked this wonderful question that we've been talking about forever. Is I don't feel so intuitively. I'm not seeing it get that far. Like something happens before it gets that far. Like he can't stop it. It feels like, this giant ball careening downhill and nothing can stop it. So if someone tries to pull their car out in front of it, they're just going to get smashed. And so that's the feeling of this. Like the files of Epi are coming out. They're going to be devastating. They're going to take the circus down. They're going to reveal to the world these networks, right? These networks of corruption, of organized crime, of bad traffic, and of the connection between different countries and how they're working together on this. And of course, this has been going on for a long, long time. This isn't a new thing. What's new is that this is the first time that we elected somebody, and, in quotes, because of course we did not, for entertainment purposes only. We did not, but this is the first time that somebody who was a major crime syndicate person was able to get into the most powerful position in the world and bring all their cronies with them and create all these, and bring all these networks into that position. And so this is our lowest point in history, but it's precipitating our highest point. Because what my guides have said is that we had to go through this in order to get clarity about the truth. And it was beyond reform, right? We're no longer in the realm of we can fix this, right? It can't be fixed. It's something that has to be completely removed and overhauled, and we have to start over. So in order for us to do that, in order for us to do that, we had to go through this, and we had to go through this so that we can really have the revelation, right? Like, we need to understand that this is not about one bad character. This is not about two or three bad characters. This isn't even about his cabinet or whatever. This is about a global network of bad characters who are committing really atrocious crimes, especially against women and children globally. And they're doing so with the assistance and funding of a lot of billionaires and a lot of governments. I feel like I don't usually talk this plainly, so I'm feeling nervous because, I usually tell stories. But I'm speaking kind of plainly today in my non-news. My non-news. I know which one's right. So this is the situation that we're in. It had to get to this. And I was told that this circus is coming to tear everything down. And I did not know that that was in the 25 Clowns 25-year agenda. I know about that now, but I know a lot of people didn't read that because they didn't know. I know that I started saying this like 11 months ago, that what my guide said is that their whole agenda is to destroy as much as possible. That's why they were just, defunding institutions, firing people, even now, taking a wrecking ball to the House of White. Like, this is all about this one agenda of absolute destruction. And the reason, some people might say, well, why would they want to destroy everything? How does that serve them? I will tell you how it serves them. It serves them because they want to destroy all of the civic institutions so that they can replace them with corporate institutions. And so that's why all of the wealthy merchants sponsored this circus and continue to sponsor it, because there's a lot in it for them, right? Some of them, of course, are trying to avoid prison because they're in the files of Epi. There's that. But a lot of them are in it for the money. And they're not just in it for the regular money. They're not just in it for the usual millions that they're used to, the usual grift. It's not just the usual grift. They're also in it because they have a vested interest in taking over certain industries. And so those who've been following me for a year, you may recall that I talked about this a long time ago. I talked about specifically, I used to talk about the 7 thieves. And these are like billionaires that have been heavily involved in the circus, and how I was told some of their personal agendas. And I can't remember them all right now, but I can remember a couple of them. Bozo the Clown. His name sounds like Bozo. And Starboy. And I think it's the Wally market guy, that, and then Teal was one of them. What did I used to call him? Forgetting all my names. Anyway, each one of them has an interest in a particular industry. So one of them, for example, wants to take over all shipping. One of them wants to take over, I think it's the Bozo, the clown, that wanted to take over all shipping, right? And you can see that he's good at that, right? That's how he revolutionized online shopping, because he was able to completely change the shipping to the point where a lot of small businesses can't compete, because we now have a culture where we think we should get whatever we order tomorrow. And if we don't get it tomorrow, we're mad. And if it costs money for shipping, we don't want to pay it, right? So we've kind of developed this new culture of expectation around when packages should arrive and how much it should cost us or not cost us to get them overnight or same day. So that person wanted to take over all of shipping. And so one of the things that the circus was trying to do was to defund the post office, right? And I think they have gutted some things, and they have tried to propose, I think they've a couple times tried to propose getting rid of it. And that's why, because they want these wealthy merchants want to take over that whole sector. And the same is true with a lot of government programs. They want to defund the government programs so that they can replace them with corporate programs, where then the people are beholden to or dependent on these corporations. So think company town, but company country. So I'm yeah, so I don't usually talk this plainly, right? I usually talk in stories and code. And but I just feel like talking more plainly today, because I just feel like so much is happening, and I can see. So from my perspective, as somebody who's a precog, who has predicted things, a long time ago and then had to wait for them to come to pass, I'm really excited when I see certain things come to pass, because for me, there's signs that we're near the end. And so, this whole files of Epi thing, for me, it's really exciting that it's gotten to this point where these emails are being shared, and these files are, getting to the point where they might actually be released. That's really exciting from my perspective, because I know that those networks of bad traffic are undergirding the circus. And so when those are exposed, right, it's like a house of cards. It's you're just removing too many cards at that point. There are so many people in those files that are from these countries and from these millionaires and from billionaires and these lawmakers, right? There's so many people implicated that it's like bringing down everything at once, So let me get to this question. I'm supposed to answer the questions. These are super chat questions. So Free USA, thank you for the $4.99 donation. This is your second donation, so I really appreciate it. And for people who want to donate directly to me, you can. I cannot figure out. They're right there. That's my QR code for Buy Me a Coffee. So Clowngress. So we were talking about code names for Congress. Clowngress, Drama Dome. Those are good. I like those. Okay, let me see if I'm missing some other questions. I'm going to answer other questions too, but I was told, because I'm learning, that you're supposed to answer the super chat questions first, and then you answer the other questions. That's the etiquette, apparently, of a live. So I'm trying to follow the etiquette. Okay, I don't see any more. So I think I'm going to just then go answer some other questions. Okay. Oh, here's somebody who's given us. Oh, a couple. So Laura says the government's not shut down, but the House is closed. So actually, we're not surprised by that, because some people were saying that he was probably going to do that, because with the discharge petition, they have 7 days of Congress days. I forget the right word, but 7 days of like Congress business before they have to then bring it to a vote. And so people did predict that Mikey with the small Johnson was going to probably try to not shut down, but like keep adjourning early the House. to kind of drag out that process, so it would take longer for the bill to be voted on. So that's what's going on there. It's not that it's shut down, it's that he's trying to delay, because he's all about protecting PDF files. That's his thing. This is it's like his whole reason for existing, apparently, allegedly. Okay, we had another question here. Some more information from Karen. Veto proof is 292 in the House. So they're saying, Karen's saying, POTUS can veto, but we would need 292. And so now I understand, okay, it's all coming together now. So all this talk, like from Representative Swalwell and others, today we had other people, for people who are just signing in, we had some Republican representatives who were interviewed today on mainstream media who said that they know there's probably 30 to 50 more Republicans who are going to vote for this when it comes up. And so now I understand why they said that, and why Representative Swalwell was talking about having another 100. Because at first I was like, well, if they have the 218, why do they need another 100? Now we know why, thanks to Karen, right? Because they need 292 to make it veto proof. And so if they really do have another 100, which is what Swalwell says, if you add 218 to 100, right, that's 318. That's veto proof. And so maybe it is veto proof. And that would explain why I feel like it doesn't get to that point where it's vetoed. I don't feel like he has that option. It doesn't seem like he has that opportunity. Like he can't stop this. So thanks for clarifying that. This is what's great about community, right? We can pool our resources, pool our knowledge. Okay, so I'm going to see if there's other questions. Got here late, hit the like. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thanks, everyone, for the likes and the comments. Yes, I did say Mikey with the small Johnson. Oh, what is this? What's this from Evan? Bozo started selling cars. Okay. And here's another question. Tell us more about the Cot of Boys. Any intuitive messages on the Cot? Encourage us to change our shopping ways and focus on local. Yeah, let's talk about the Cot of Boy, or the big, beautiful blackout, as it's now being called. So that's coming up on November 25th. I think it's the Tuesday before the holiday Thanksgiving that's celebrated in the United States. And it's a really important day, week to do this, because in the United States, most of the shopping happens the day after Thanksgiving, on a day that's called Black Friday. And also most of the travel, the biggest travel week of the year is this week of Thanksgiving. And so, so people are being called upon not to spend money, not to participate in any Black Friday sales, and just in general to avoid big box stores, to engage in Cots of Boy. I mean, I'm not really doing a lot. I'm talking pretty plainly today. But I appreciate other people trying to keep it safe. So basically, there's all these really big box stores that we're all not patronizing. And so if you do want to buy something, you want to go to your local stores, you want to go to your family-owned businesses, your small businesses, especially people who may be hurting because of the import-export taxes that start with a T, right? So yeah, we all have to participate in this, and this is why. When this whole thing first happened a year ago, I started reading some books. So I'm a scholar, so I like to read books. And I formed a little study group of scholars against fascism. And we started reading about, other anti-flashy movements throughout history. And what I found when I was reading about these other anti-flashy movements, like I looked at Italy, I looked at, you can look at, France, in the 1930s, we can look at apartheid South Africa. And there were different people that I was talking to who were looking at different historical moments. And if you look at those successful campaigns to remove circuses, what you find the same kind of things that worked in every anti-flashy movement. And so one was Gee, now I'm going to forget that big intro because I'm just thinking about one of them right now, which is the Cots of Boy. That was one of the successful techniques, resistance strategies that worked in all of these movements was economically harming the people in power. So divestment movements and Cots of Boy were two of the kind of cornerstones of a lot of anti-flashy movements in the past. Also, it was just the case in a lot of those movements that resistance at every level was effective. And so I think sometimes people get too focused on just one way to resist. And actually, there's so many ways to resist that that they all contribute. And what really matters is that everybody is doing something, right? So everyone can't do everything. Like some people don't have the mobility to be out in the streets the way other people do. Some people don't have the privilege to put themselves in front of, police the way other people do. People like me, I've been personally targeted and profiled and brutalized by the police. So I've got to be very careful. If I go out into the streets for a dancing and singing parade, I'm much more likely to be harmed than somebody else, right? So, everyone has to figure that out for themselves. Like, what's the best way to be the most effective, given your position, given your privilege? Like, I have other privileges. I have privilege of being an educated person, right? Being a scholar who's highly educated. I'm middle class. That's a privilege. I'm not starving, right? I have enough food in the cupboards. So I have certain privileges. And so what can I do? I can write. I can speak. That's why I go on here and speak all the time. I can tell stories. That's one of my skills. I can write letters, and I do write letters to my congresspeople. I can perform at rallies because I'm a poet. I do that, right? So, but everyone has something, right? We all have something. There are some people I know in my community who have been going out all the time and trying to protect immigrants, right? In these rapid response teams where they're going out and photographing these violations, where they're alerting people that the QE people are coming, that they're forming these groups of people who are driving around and trying to protect people, right? There's so many different things that can be done. And so, yeah, the big, beautiful blackout is one of them. We can all participate in that. That's really easy to just not shop. And yeah, it's going to require people to change some of their traditions and maybe scale back. Maybe you'll have to scale back your holiday meal. Maybe you'll have to scale back your Christmas and your Hanukkah and your Kwanzaa. But we can do that. That we can, that's not a big inconvenience, right? Oh, thank you, Mama Kimmy. She said I'm the best storyteller. I gotta put that up for a minute. Okay, so yeah, Amanda said it's super easy. It's a super easy way that we can all participate is just to withdraw, right? Withdraw our funds from certain wealthy merchants who are supporting the circus. Oh no. MT Pocket asked, what do you see for a cannabis ban? So I didn't hear that, but I do feel like I just want to weigh in on this. Yeah, so I want to say something about cannabis in general. I'm a healer, and so this is important to me as a healer. Someone who I really am a fan of is Dolores Cannon, and she was this hypnotherapist in Arkansas who wrote all these books where she was hypnotizing people to past lives and in between lives and other planets. And I remember this one time in one of her books, she was talking to somebody who was a starseed, who was from another planet, but they incarnated as a human. And they were trying to explain that there's this plant on planet Earth that is useful for everything. It can heal everything. It can be used for food and housing and all of these things. And it's illegal in much of the world. And what a tragedy it is, because this is one of those panaceas. It's one of those really powerful plants. And that's cannabis. And so any effort that people make to ban it, it's not going to succeed it's like what do they say, the cat's out of the bag, or whatever is out of the gate, the horse is out of the gate. I don't know that saying, but you know what I mean. It's too late. There is now widespread awareness of the medicinal benefits of this plant. And yes, there are, I do think it's a problem that there are a lot of people who abuse it to their own detriment. But that's not the majority. Like, the majority right now is this kind of consciousness around this is a medicine that we could all benefit from, and that certain people are benefiting already from a great deal. Like, I think it's supposed to help with seizures, and people are using it for so many things, for cancer, for nausea, for appetite, right? There's a lot of medicinal uses. So when it comes to things like this, let me say something about that. When it comes to us hearing these scary things, I think it's really important for us to resist the temptation to immediately go to worst case scenario in our mind, right? So I know that's not easy. It's easier said than done, right? So for example, if you're somebody like this questioner, is giving the example, if you're someone whose cancer treatment depends on having access to cannabis, then it's really scary, right? That you might lose access. But that's also true for so many of us on so many topics, right? Like anyone who has a serious health condition and relies on their health care, right? Their insurance, is going to be frightened by what they're doing to our health insurance. Anyone who's an immigrant right now, it might be frightened, whether you're legal or not, because they're going after people just on the basis of their appearance. They're not going after them on the basis of their actual status. And so it's easy. And if you're a gay or lesbian or trans person right now, it's really scary. And it's really easy to start thinking worst case scenario, they're going to come and get me. And I'd be lying if I didn't say that I've also had nightmares about them coming to get me, right? So of course it's natural for us to be fearful of all these scary things that are happening. But I do want to encourage people to try to not devote a lot of your thinking to these worst case scenarios. Yes, you can't help occasionally thinking about what if it happens to me, right? But you've got to really do everything you can to keep yourself from constantly envisioning the worst case scenario, because thoughts are things. We're powerful beings, and what we think about and talk about does shape our reality. And so anything that you can do to get your mind off of that worst case scenario and to begin to envision a different outcome. And then also what I find really helps with those thoughts is to do something, right? So, if you stay busy doing something, right? If you're active in the resistance in whatever form that takes for you, if you're doing something, then you're less likely to be thinking those worst case scenario thoughts all the time, right? Because you're going to be busy thinking about, oh yeah, the letter I wrote today is impacting, my congressperson, and that rally I went to is and that, my canceling my prime is impacting that corporation, and and that video I just posted is helping people to navigate this scenario, this scary situation. So find something to do so that you feel hopeful and that you feel like you're making a difference and you're making a change, so that you're not just thinking all the time, what if they come for me? What if they come for me? What am I going to do when they take my insurance? What am I going to do when they take my cannabis? What am I going to do when they take away my birth control? Whatever, right? Whatever the scary worst case scenario is, we gotta find other things to preoccupy ourselves with. So this is why also that I always encourage people to meditate and visualize the future you want to see. It doesn't matter if it seems totally unlikely or delusional or unrealistic or whatever. You still imagine it, still visualize it. Yes. C. Johnson says, happy for the Arizona recipients. Yeah, so there's a whole lot of states who have gotten their food tickets. Some have only gotten some of their food tickets. Um, and what's interesting about that, I did do a post about this, and it's falling along party lines, and I'm seeing how it had to be this way. So suffering is bad, no matter who engages in it. We don't want anyone to suffer. We don't care who they are. Well, I'll speak for myself. Some of you may want some of these circus clowns to suffer. And actually, when I think about it, I guess I wouldn't mind too much if they were, like, for example, in prison. That's suffering, but it's deserved and earned, right? So we don't want anyone to have unearned suffering. Let's just qualify that. So here's something that's happening, right? Because these clowns are trying to starve the people in order to control the people, they have insisted, right, time and time again, of not releasing the food tickets. And what has happened is that a number of blue states who had the wherewithal to do so, released them to their people. Because the way that food tickets work is they're administered by the states, but the federal is supposed to pay for them. And so a richer state like California can just go ahead and distribute them with the money that we have, even though we don't know if the federal government is going to reimburse us the way they're supposed to. But the poorer states who are all red, they don't have that capacity. And so what's happening with this whole decision to starve the people, allegedly, is that there are more people suffering in red states than those in blue states. And while this is tragic, it's also potentially going to raise the consciousness of Magatonians who chose this when they realize how it's hurting them. And so when I look at it from the bigger picture, I can see, oh, that's why it happened like that. So yes, Pamela, being proactive takes you out of fear. Help others. Anytime you're helping others, it's hard to feel as sorry for yourself. So you can keep that in mind. We all have reasons to feel sorry for ourselves. We all have, we're all being negatively impacted, right, by the circus. We're all being harmed in some way. Some people are being harmed more than others, but we're all being harmed, right? No matter who you are, you're being harmed. Just psychologically, we're all being harmed. But if you help somebody, go volunteer at a food bank, go, or what a lot of people are doing is setting up their own little baby food banks in front of their houses, which I think is so awesome. They're just getting like a cardboard box, putting a few canned goods out in their front yard. And then they're collecting donations from neighbors to keep filling it up. So there's so many things, right, that we can do to help others. All right, let's add some more questions. Let's see. I don't know what that question means. What's funny is some people make up their own code character names, and I don't know those character names. And I find that sometimes I'm like, I don't know who those are. Like, who's Don Bubba? I mean, Don I can guess, but who's Bubba? Okay. Okay, let's see. Hello from West Seattle. Yeah, Medusa. I agree. Hunger will open many eyes, unfortunately. Someone said 6'7". Did I say 6'7"? Okay. Here's a good question from Mary Rayleigh Hall. What are people visualizing to replace the circus? I still try to visualize the Lotus Queen. Yeah, I can tell you what I visualize. I visualize a world where, people aren't hungry and there's no war and women aren't the victims of SA and there's no PDF files. Okay. So here's someone clarifying about the cannabis. They snuck it into the bill to open the government. So it already happened. All right. Um, well, I'll just say that it's not going to be enforceable and it's not going to be followed. Um, okay. Hello, Seattle. I used to live in Seattle. I used to teach at Seattle University. I was a philosophy professor there for 2 years. Loved Seattle. Um, yeah, they are. They're getting a wake-up call. Yeah, so here's a testimony. Someone in Cali got half her benefits. Yeah, that's weird because I heard that people in California got their full benefits, but I do think there's a delay with in some cases. Like I've been hearing that certain states they're giving out like half one week and then half the next week instead of all of it at once. So I don't know if that's what's going on in Cali. Um, oh yeah. So Iris always asks me if I'm doing a meditation, and I am going to do a meditation. Um, oh, that's interesting. Gina said no one's reporting that the house got shut down. Maybe because it's not really a shutdown, it's an adjournment. So it's like a sneaky thing, right? He's in charge of when they adjourn, and so he probably adjourned early. Instead of going like a full business day. And he's trying to do that every day, probably to kind of stretch things out so that they don't have to vote on the files of Epi. Okay, Cindy said everyone who needs their cannabis should go to Canada. They have 6 or 7 dispensaries in her little town. I might be up there. If I lose they take away my health insurance, I might have to go up there and get my medicine. Yeah, write a letter and visualize the future you want. And I love this from Starduster. My little chant was always higher power will make a way where there is no way. And then here's something that Karen Louise did. They did a naked bike ride to get the Ninth Circuit to uphold the ban on troops in Portland. Yeah, there's so many ways. Here's another bit of advice from Bree Brewington. It's helpful for me to have some mantras like everything always works out for me, or what's the best that could happen. Okay, I do something similar to that what the best could happen. I forget where I learned this, but when I'm going into some really challenging situation, I repeat in my head over and over again, what's the best possible outcome? And I don't answer the question. I don't try to come up with an actual answer. I just keep asking the question. And I have found it's very effective. And I've told other people to do it, and they also said it's really effective. Okay, so apparently Arizona got theirs. Okay. All right. So, all right. Oh, I got an invitation. I got an invitation to Georgian Bluffs, Ontario, Canada. I might be up there knocking on your door. I love Canada. It's also going to depend on the state. So if you're worried about the cannabis thing, it's going to depend on the state that you're in. They're also trying to, put some type of abortion ban in the bill, I think. They're trying to do a lot of things. They're trying to do a lot of things. What you need to know is in the end, they're going to be removed. In the end, they're going to be removed. In the meantime, they're trying to do as much damage as they can. Part of it is they're trying to terrorize us. And the reason they're trying to do that is because if we're terrorized, if we're fearful, we can't unify, we can't act, we can't resist. And so that's why, focusing on our consciousness is so important. Finding a way to stay hopeful, finding a way to unify with your neighbors is so important right now. Finding a way to find something to do to contribute to the resistance. Staying hopeful, right? Just that's why I try to do, my Metatron news, is because I'm trying to give people hope. So I like just scour the news every day looking for things that are going to give people hope. Because what I was told a long time ago is that our consciousness is a big part of our ability to shift things. And although we have these really nefarious characters who have a lot of power and are doing a lot of damage, we far outnumber them. And we don't just outnumber them, but we also, consciousness wise, we're stronger than them. And that shift is happening. So I've been posting about this shrinking of the circus because they're losing their power, their energetic power. So there's a spiritual battle, right? We have a physical battle, we have a spiritual battle, we have an intellectual battle, we have a moral battle, right? We have a lot of battles going on. And they're losing the spiritual battle. When this thing first happened a year ago, those of us who are psychics and empaths and light workers, healers, we were having to really battle. I remember a couple of months having to battle almost every night in the other realms. And there was just a huge spiritual battle going on. And it's not like that now, because there are so many people who have woken up. There are so many people who have shifted their consciousness. And part of that shift in consciousness has to do with really divisive views that a lot of us had. And so it's easy to point to someone else and say, oh, they're bad. It's a lot harder to examine our own self and say, okay, what am I doing wrong? And, in this country, because our country is based on, has a foundation of racism and sexism, patriarchy and classism and homophobia, right? These are all things that we have to examine, and we have to remove them from ourselves. And that's happening. And so, like, this whole thing going after the immigrants, right? It was possible to do that because there were so many people who had those types of biases, who had that hatred in their heart, who didn't think those people deserved to be treated the way they deserve to be treated. But what has happened is people have evolved. People are starting to realize, wait a minute, that's my neighbor who I like. That's the shopkeeper who I talk to every week when I buy my oranges. Like, that's the person that fixes my car. Like, people are beginning to realize, okay, these are real people that I care for, and they're being targeted just because they belong to a particular ethnic group. And it's causing people to wake up and to evolve past certain beliefs that they may have had before. And maybe they weren't conscious beliefs, but they were there. Same thing is happening with the PDF files. There are a lot of people who had certain attitudes about women and about sexuality, and they're starting to rethink those. Same with the transformers, right? With trans people. I call them transformers. There's been a huge attack on them. And there are people who are starting to realize, hey, you know what? Maybe I didn't quite understand gender before. And that's why I thought there were only two genders, because I just didn't know, right? I didn't understand. But now that people are being targeted, other people are starting to say, that's my neighbor, that's my family member, that's the person I play basketball with, that's the person that I go to school with, I work with. Like, that person, why should that person suffer just because they have a different gender presentation than the one that I have, or the one that I was taught to believe was the only right one, right? Like, we're evolving and we're coming together. And we're refusing to live in a state of fear and terror, and we're refusing to feel powerless. And we have passed that point now energetically, where we're actually becoming more powerful than the evil entities that are supporting the circus. They're starting to withdraw, and we're growing in strength and in spiritual strength, right? Okay, so it's already an hour and a half. So I think I'm going to do a meditation. Okay, well, there's one last question I'm going to answer. Then we're going to do a meditation because I think this is an important question from MC Tibal. Um, what about the people who will never abandon MAGA? How can we help them? Psychiatric intervention. Um, I have been wanting to talk about this, and I'm going to first talk about something that's sort of related. Has to do with how do we help these people. First of all, you know that old expression people used to have, charity begins at home. I think that's where we start. There are a lot of people in this country who have family members or friends, or maybe not friends, but neighbors, let's say, or coworkers, but family members are the people that we kind of have a responsibility towards. And they're MAGAs. And a lot of people have just cut them off. They just no contact, right? Because it's painful, right? It's painful to talk to them. But I do think that the people who actually have MAGA supporters in their family need to talk to them and need to try to educate them and need to try to get them help. Maybe it's psychiatric. I don't know what kind of help they need to get, but maybe it's spiritual. And if it's your community, right, that's supporting this, then I think you need to start there, right? We need to kind of help the people. We need to actually try to educate the people that we're connected to. Now, that being said, you can't actually maybe engage or shouldn't be required to engage with somebody who is directly harming you. So there are exceptions, right? If you're a trans person, you have MAGAs in your family and their philosophy is all about, your annihilation, right? You're not going to really be able to engage with them, because that's the thing about MAGA. It's not like a political party. It's not like a belief system. It's actually people who believe that other people are not fully human or don't deserve to live. And so that's really different, right, from just having different views on, economic responsibility or something. And so obviously we don't expect anyone who's, say, has a MAGA family member who is directly advocating for the annihilation of that person. We're not expecting them to do anything. But there are a lot of people out there who actually are not going to be harmed by engaging with those people, right? There are a lot of people who have family members who they could engage. It would be uncomfortable. It would be unpleasant. But it's not actually leading to your own annihilation, right? They're not actually telling you that they want you to, if you're gay or trans or a person of color, that they want you to be imprisoned or to be killed or to lose your basic civil rights. So if you don't fall into one of those categories and you have MAGA relatives, then I strongly, strongly encourage you to do all that you can to engage them and educate them and try to get them to to expand their awareness. There are certain, what's going to happen to the people that supported this is that there's going to be a reckoning. And so, like I was saying earlier, with the tribunals, right? If you look at like South Africa, Truth and Reconciliation, if you look at different places where there have been genocides, if you look at 1930s Germany, there were these tribunals. Some people were held accountable, not all. We're going to have something like that. And so a lot of these people are going to have a reckoning in their life. And that might be the only thing that really helps them, right? And that's how it is, right? With some people, it doesn't matter what you say to them. It doesn't matter, how much, how many criminal activities they witness. It isn't until they personally suffer that they consider the possibility that they were wrong. And so some people have to learn that way. Some people have to have a reckoning. For some people, it's the FAFO, right? For some people, it's they supported this and now they're losing their job or their house or their food tickets or their benefits, right, or their health. And for other people, it's the reckoning. It's when all of this comes out, when everything comes out and everything is revealed, and they have to kind of face the wrath of people who were like, how did you support the Nazis, right? There were a lot of people that had to answer that question, right? I'm not supposed to say that word, I think. Oops, Smotsies. People had to answer that question in Germany, right? In Poland, in lots of countries, they had to answer that, including the United States. We also supported them, right? We got involved really late in that war, so we were complicit by our absence, by our refusal to participate, even though we knew what was going on with the camps. We, as a country, chose not to involve ourselves until a certain time, kind of the very, after it had been going on for quite some time, and so. There's going to be that kind of psychological reckoning that people go through. And there's going to be some kind of public, kind of shaming that happens. And of course, ideally, we want everyone to rehabilitate, right? But some people do have to face the consequences of their actions. And so we should not be quick to feel sorry for people who have actively involved themselves in harming others, right? So there's a lot of people who, for example, work for the QB people, or they've engaged in other activities which have directly harmed people, right? Contributed to the harming and the unaliving of people. We should not want them to be comfortable, right, and happy and everything afterwards. We should want them to have some consequences for actually harming people. And so there's a large number of people like that who, even after so much has come out, letting them know that people are suffering, people are being tortured in these detainment places, people are being separated from their families, people are being detained even though they have all their paperwork, right? Like, even though they know these things, and they're still supporting it, they're going to have to face the consequences of that. The thing is, we're all, and that's part of healing. Justice is a part of healing, right? So sometimes people can get kind of too Pollyannish and think, oh, we don't want anyone to be punished because love and light, love and light. It's like, no, actually, that's how karma works. And if, like, I go to the other side and I get to sit in on people's pre-life conferences and people's life reviews, and we actually are meant to go through things while we're alive in order to evolve. And sometimes that evolution involves engaging in something that was wrong and then facing the consequence of it, and then having a consciousness that comes from that, right? That's what karma is about. It's about trying to understand everything. And so some people are going to have to face justice, right? And that's going to be how we heal as a country. So we cannot heal as a country if we just forgive all the wrongdoers and give them a pat on the hand and say, you were probably psychiatrically unwell and that's why you harmed all those people. That's not how we recover as a nation. In fact, that's why we're at this point where we're at, because there were things that happened in our history and we never had justice for them. We never had balancing out of the karma. We never had accountability. We never had people taking responsibility, right? So like when the colonists, the conquerors came here and committed genocide against all of these indigenous people and stole their land and put them into camps, right? There's been no reckoning for that, right? When they came and imported, kidnapped and stole, millions of people from the continent of Africa and enslaved them and imprisoned them and raped them and did all these things to them. There was no reckoning after that, right? And so because we haven't really had justice for a lot of groups of people in this country, these issues are still with us, right? And they're still kind of eating away at us. And so we don't want to be too quick to just say, everybody's forgiven, let's just all get along, because we don't grow that way, right? The way that we grow is we hold people accountable. We have people actually have consequences for their actions. And then after people have paid their price, right, you do something wrong, you pay a price for it. And then when you're done with that, you're accepted back in, right? And then we accept them back in and we try to rehabilitate them. But we can't be too caught up in trying to very quickly excuse or forgive people who have actually put a lot of energy into harming people, right? But there is a way forward. We've seen it in other places. We've seen other countries do this. Germany is a great example where they have spent many, many decades trying to repair what they did and educating their children so that it never happens again, and putting up monuments all over the country and passing laws saying that you can't belong to a schmatzy party in Germany. They've done a lot of things to try to repair, and that's the way forward, right? Is we need to have consequence, we need to have reckoning, and we need to have repair. And I think that's all possible. And so mote it be. Exactly. Yeah, there's a path. There's a path to forgiveness. We have to keep that in mind. We go to justice first, justice, reckoning, and then forgiveness, right? You don't jump right to forgiveness. And we do that out of love too. So keep that in mind, that holding people accountable is not because we don't care for them. It's because we care for them that we hold people accountable. We want them to be better people, right? We want to embrace them and bring them back into the fold, but we can't do that in their current state, right? If they're hateful and harmful, we can't bring them in, right? It's like a cancer. You gotta heal the cancer, and then you can use that organ again. Like while the organ is cancer filled, you got to heal the cancer. And then you can bring it. Right. All right. So let's meditate. "10,000 Flowers, Tarot and Transmissions." I agree. Okay. So let's do a meditation. My last rant scared some people off. Yep, that's why we are back here today. All right, here's a cat mom. Yeah, I agree. We all have to do what's best for healing. Okay, so let's meditate now. So I want to lead you in a short meditation where we can visualize our future. So I'd just like to ask you to start with some nice deep breaths. Let's just breathe in slowly and deeply. And then breathe out slowly. And now with each inhale, I'd like you to imagine you are inhaling relaxing blue light. And as this light moves through your body, it fills your whole body with relaxation. And with each out breath, imagine you are exhaling gray smoke, representing all that does not serve you, any stress and worry. Inhaling, 1, 2, 3. Exhaling, 1, 2, 3. Slowly and deeply inhaling, and then slowly releasing. And just notice how this process of just breathing slowly and deeply is bringing relaxation and peace. Just let it go, all the stress and debris, energetic debris of your day, just let it go and breathe in that relaxing blue light. When you're ready, you can close your eyes if you haven't already. And now let us take a moment to place our attention on the crown of your head, the top of your head, and notice there is a wonderful tingling sensation on the top of your head. It's tingling as if there is a circle of bright white light vibrating on the top of your head. It's exciting, it's exhilarating. And as you focus on the tingling sensation, it begins to grow up, up into a cylinder of bright white light. And as you grow your cylinder of bright white light up, up into the air, you notice above you a giant golden sun. And you recognize this golden sun, for this is your higher self, where you come from and where you return. And you plug your cylinder of white light into the giant golden sun, and you begin to charge up, charge up. All of that divine source light is moving down into the crown of your head, filling you up with love and joy and healing. That energy moves down and around each one of your chakras into your third eye, spinning and expanding your chakra. It moves down into your throat where it spins and expands that chakra. And that light moves down into your heart where it spins and expands your heart chakra. Down into your solar plexus, spinning and expanding. The energy moves down into your navel where it spins and expands, and finally down into your perineum, spinning and expanding that root chakra, allowing you to feel safe. And the energy moves down into Mother Earth, connecting you to the crystal core of Mother Earth, and you release into Mother Earth any energetic debris from your life that you need to let go, any stress, any wounds, any sadness, any grief, any anger. You just let it all go, and the mother receives it. She is a mother, and she can receive anything you give her, and she sends in return healing up through your feet, up through your bottom. She sends healing, green, beautiful Gaia energy. And now your energy flows all the way around you in a giant bubble of rainbow light. You have this beautiful light from higher self, the light from all your chakras, all the colors of the rainbow, the light from Mother Earth, and they're now all swirling around you in a wonderful bubble of energy. And this is your aura, and you feel it expanding around you. And you feel so bright and bold and beautiful. Inside this bubble, you are protected. You feel confident, strong, safe, loved, nurtured. Connected. True. Just immerse yourself in that energy. You are a being of light, swirling in a bubble of light. And in this bubble of light, you are ready to go on a journey. And you begin to float up in the air in your giant bubble of iridescent light, sparkling, glittering in the sunlight, in the moonlight. And you float up above your room, above your house, your apartment, above your neighborhood. And you're floating up and you can see your whole village below you, your whole town. You float up and you see your whole county, your state, your parish. And you continue floating up into the clouds, above the clouds, and you can see your whole nation. And you continue floating up, up, up. You're so light and airy and free. And you can feel the air, you can hear the birds singing, you can feel the clouds, the condensation as you rise up, up, up. You can feel this wonderful feeling of freedom. And you continue floating up until you find yourself in the cosmos, and there are stars everywhere glittering. There are planets, quasars in the distance. You can see the sun. And up above it all, you can see everything more clearly. Everything is so much clearer now. You look down at Mother Earth and you see her for who she really is. And you can see that you're connected to Mother Earth by a little thread of light. And right now you suddenly understand why you incarnated on Mother Earth. A feeling, a vision, words, receive. You have a special role to play. One of your guides is speaking to you now and reminding you of the role you came to play on this planet at this time. Listen. You take this information into your heart, into your knowing, and you trust that you've received it. And you begin to float down closer to Earth because there's things you want to know about Earth. You want to see some things about Earth. You want to see the future of Earth. And your guide has given you a special way to view the future, special glasses that show you the future of the Earth and all the people on it. And as you float down closer and closer to the Earth, an image begins to unfold. You're seeing a movie of the Earth and the future. The different countries, the relationships, the plants, the animals, the oceans. You're visioning the best possible outcome for your planet. And as you float down closer, you begin to focus on your country, your nation, and you see all of the people and the institutions, and you see what's happening in the future, in your ideal world. What do you see, feel, hear? And you float down further until you're hovering over your state, your county, your parish. And you can see a vision of what's happening there in this ideal future, how people are treating each other, how people are living. You can see the government, the institutions. You can see how your country, your state, your county are in the future. And you float down further to your city, your village, your town. And you notice every detail about how things are different now, how people are faring. And you can see your neighborhood and all your neighbors and what they're doing and how they're treating one another. And finally, you float down into your home, into your family, and you see how your family is faring now. And you see everybody celebrating, dancing, and singing, watching the television, the news, talking about all the changes that have come to your realm, to your lives, how much better off you are. You have feasts, tables overflowing with food, neighbors invited in, people coming together. You see the repair, the healing that's come to your neighborhood, your family, your village, your country, the world. What does it look like? What does the peace and the joy feel like? What does justice look like? Balance, equality, freedom. See it, feel it. Enough, everybody has enough. What does that look like? The absence of suffering. What does that feel like? Immerse yourself in this vision and remember this vision. Remember it as you begin to bring your awareness back to your body, to the here and now, to the chair or couch you're sitting on. Remembering everything you've seen in this perfect future, this beautiful future. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes, wiggle your fingers and toes, and become aware of this present moment. Remembering everything you saw and felt in the future. And when you're ready and when you're fully back, feel free to add things to the chat about what you saw in this ideal future, what you envisioned, what it felt like, what it looked like. Because when we share our visions, it helps us to bring our vision into reality when we share our visions and our dreams. I got this random, oh, here it is. Uh-oh. I got this random question. Are you a man or a woman? I think that's funny. Justice is peace. I'm just going to share some of people's visions. Justice is peace. She has returned to take her place among the people. That's beautiful. Unconditional love of all living beings, says Kirsten. And peaceful nature saw justice and kindness. Oh, Michelle saw Bernie as the president. Oh man, I was such a burner. I even went to Philadelphia. Oh, here's a report from someone from her guides. They said, be love. Yes, yes. How can we all be love? No more anger because people have enough food. Oh, I love this. We're allowed to relax and not be busy 100% of the time. People are holding hands, says Namaste. Kindness, dancing, laughing. I love all these visions. Everyone caring for each other, singing and happy. These are our visions for the future. Sharing, yes. Just think if we all shared, there's enough for everyone on this planet. There's enough. There's enough. Fences and walls come down. Everyone is family. Councils of women. Okay, where'd that go? Uh-oh. Oh, here's another one. I saw a lot of healing, a place for the homeless, windmills and solar panels. Wonderful connection to Gaia. Rewilding Mother Earth, food forests, community gardens, community kindness. Patsy saw no one eating animals, no stray animals. They all have homes. Here it is, councils of women. I have seen councils of women in the future. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for participating in my meditation. Thank you for coming to my live and for all your comments. And for liking the live, and all the people that are subscribing, that are members, that are putting comments on my videos every day. I appreciate all of you. And, it feels like a community when I read the comments and also when I read the chat. I just love it. We're creating this new world as a collective. We're creating this new world with our love, with our thoughts, with our actions, with our unification, and with our dreams. We're dreaming a new world into existence. And, we're also birthing a new world into existence. So we start with the dream and then the birthing labor. The labor is hard. The labor can be painful. But we just hold on to that dream, right? We just keep dreaming. Okay, we know what's coming. We know what we're birthing. And so we hold on. We hold on and we bring that. We bring that into reality. So I want to thank my mods, Iris, and I'm not sure who all was here. I know Iris was here, but I think Kat and Eva and Pooh Bear. I have like 4 mods. So thank you. Oh, here's another vision from Mary Rayleigh Hall. Let's end with this vision. An inauguration in April in DC, a woman. Love that. Love that. Can one of the mods, oh, it's too late. We don't have to worry about this person, I guess. We only had one. We only had one person who was a little bit unpleasant. Everyone else was beautiful. So thank you. I've been really blessed in all my videos and lives. I get almost 99%, 99.9% positive comments. Oh, my voice wasn't loud enough. When I do the meditation, I do lower it a bit. But this yard stream does such a good job of picking up my voice. So I hope everyone could hear me. And thank you all. And I will see you next time. I'm going to start doing lives, I think, every Thursday. And I might also do them more often because, there's a shift happening and it's like all this good news. I didn't even talk about all the good news I had written down for today because I was answering all these questions. But yeah, there's just going to be more good news every day. And so I'll be on here talking about it every day, either in a post or a live. And I forgot to remind people, I have a buy me a coffee QR code up here if you want to buy me a coffee. You can also Venmo me at my same name. Jennifer Lisa Vest is my Venmo. Lots of people sent me super chats during this live. So thank you to all of you who sent me super chats. And I also have been getting, someone sent me donations for my last live on Venmo. And I really appreciate that. And I just appreciate all of you. So thank you so much. We're all helping each other, right? Endure this and get through this and get to the other side and create something beautiful on the other side. And so thank you to all of you. And I will see you next time. We persist. Let's end with that. We persist. Amen. Yes, Plum Tree. We persist.